17 black actors currently rotting in jail. What if I told you that 4 of the men in this video aren't in jail at all? That one walked out after 16 years and immediately scored the first #1 single of his entire career. That another was cleared by a jury on all 8 charges and still shows up on lists of rappers behind bars. Meanwhile, a man you've heard of has sat in a cell for over 7 years without a single verdict, legally innocent the whole time. And a billionaire mogul was acquitted of the charges that could have buried him, then sentenced anyway. 17 sentences, 17 lives rewritten. Stay to the end. And subscribe to Secret Celebrity Stories, where the truth outlives the headline. Sean Diddy Combs. The most stunning fall in modern hip-hop reached its conclusion inside a Manhattan federal courthouse on October 3, 2025. Sean Combs, the Harlem-born mogul once known as Puff Daddy, the architect of Bad Boy Records, the man who launched the notorious B.I.G., Mary J. Blige, and 112, was sentenced to 50 months in federal prison. Born November 4, 1969, he built an empire spanning music, fashion, beverages, and television, winning a CFDA award in 2004 for Sean John, with Forbes once estimating his fortune above $900 million. Federal agents arrested him on September 16, 2024, at a New York hotel, and the indictment was staggering: racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. But the verdict, delivered July 2, 2025, after a 7-week trial, was far more complicated than the headlines suggested. The Manhattan jury acquitted Combs of the racketeering and sex trafficking charges, the counts that could have ended his life in prison, and convicted him only on 2 Mann Act counts involving transportation, related to ex-girlfriends including Cassie Ventura. That distinction matters enormously and is routinely erased in coverage. Judge Arun Subramanian imposed the 50-month term, a $500,000 fine, and 5 years of supervised release. Combs was held at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn and requested transfer to FCI Fort Dix in New Jersey. With credit for time served since September 2024, his projected release falls in 2028. The man who once threw the most extravagant parties in entertainment history now spends his nights in a federal cell, convicted of real crimes, cleared of the gravest ones, facing a culture that has already moved on. No amount of money bought an exit from that courtroom. R. Kelly. The voice behind one of the most inspirational songs in American pop history became the most comprehensively disgraced figure in modern music. Robert Sylvester Kelly, born January 8, 1967 in Chicago, rose from busking on subway platforms to selling over 75 million records worldwide, winning 3 Grammys in 1998 alone, and shaping contemporary R&B for a generation. But allegations trailed him from the 1990s, including his illegal 1994 marriage to Aaliyah when she was 15. A 2008 child pornography trial in Chicago ended in acquittal, and for years, accusations dissolved quietly into out-of-court settlements. Then came the 2019 Lifetime documentary, Surviving R. Kelly, which detonated everything and triggered federal investigations across jurisdictions. In September 2021, after a 6-week Brooklyn trial, a federal jury convicted him on 9 counts, including racketeering and 8 Mann Act violations. On June 29, 2022, Judge Ann Donnelly sentenced him to 30 years. A second federal trial in Chicago added 20 years for child pornography, 19 running concurrently, bringing his total to 31 years. He is incarcerated at the Federal Correctional Institution in Butner, North Carolina, with a projected release date of December 24, 2045, when he would be 78. His appeals have collapsed entirely. The Second Circuit affirmed his conviction, and in June 2025, the U.S. Supreme Court declined to hear his case, making the sentence effectively final. That month, his lawyers filed an emergency motion alleging prison medical mistreatment. The court denied release. Kelly's fame did not merely fail to protect him. The prosecution's central argument was that his fame was itself the machinery, the staff, the access, the private planes, the industry silence. The empire didn't shield the crimes. It enabled them, and then it convicted him. Suge Knight. The most feared executive in hip-hop history built an empire on intimidation, and a Compton parking lot finally ended it. Marion Hugh Knight Jr., born April 19, 1965 in Compton, turned Death Row Records into the most powerful black-owned label of its era. Dr. Dre's The Chronic in 1992, Snoop Dogg's Doggy Style in 1993, Tupac's All Eyes on Me in 1996, generating hundreds of millions. But the legend was inseparable from the menace. From the story of dangling Vanilla Ice off a balcony, to speculation linking his orbit to the unsolved 1996 murder of Tupac and the 1997 killing of the notorious B.I.G., it's essential to state clearly, Knight has never been charged in either case, and speculation is not evidence. His actual reckoning came on January 29, 2015, when he ran over two men with his pickup outside Tam's Burgers in Compton, after a confrontation on the set of the NWA biopic Straight Outta Compton. Cleabone Sloan survived. Terry Carter, a respected music executive and Knight's own friend, was killed. Knight claimed self-defense, insisting he was fleeing attackers. After years of delays, he accepted a plea deal in September 2018, admitting voluntary manslaughter, and on October 4, 2018, Judge Ronald Cohen sentenced him to 28 years. He is housed at Richard J. Donovan Correctional Facility in San Diego, his earliest parole possibility falling around 2037, in his early 70s. He still gives phone interviews from inside, shaping his own myth. But the man who once decided which records the world would hear now has no say over anything. Not his schedule, not his visitors, not the decade he walks out into. The empire outlived the emperor. Tory Lanez. One night in the Hollywood Hills erased a career built across a decade. Daystar Peterson, born July 27, 1992 in Brampton, Ontario, built his name through the Sincerely Tory mixtape series, before his 2016 debut I Told You, produced the platinum single Say It. By July 2020, he was a chart regular, working with Drake and Chris Brown. Then, on July 12, 2020, after leaving a party at Kylie Jenner's home, an altercation erupted inside a moving SUV, and Megan Thee Stallion was shot in both feet, requiring surgery. Initially silent about the shooter, she named Peterson publicly weeks later. His trial began in December 2022, and on December 23rd, a Los Angeles jury convicted him on 3 felonies: assault with a semi-automatic firearm, carrying a loaded unregistered firearm in a vehicle, and discharging a firearm with gross negligence. Judge David Hereford sentenced him on August 8, 2023, to 10 years. He is currently held at the California Correctional Institution in Tehachapi. On May 12, 2025, he was attacked and stabbed inside the facility, suffering serious injuries including a punctured lung. He survived after emergency surgery. His legal team continues pursuing appeals while he maintains his innocence, a position the courts have so far rejected. Megan Thee Stallion, meanwhile, went on to win Grammys, headline global tours, and become a prominent advocate for victims of intimate partner violence. 2 careers left that SUV in July 2020. One became a Grammy-winning headliner who turned the worst night of her life into advocacy for other women. The other is serving 10 years, still insisting the jury got it wrong. The courts have spoken, and the appeals have not moved them. Only one survived intact. Fetty Wap. The man who turned a melodic mumble into a Billboard takeover lost everything. Not because the music faded, but because federal agents linked him to a multi-state drug pipeline. Willie Jr. Maxwell II, born June 7, 1991 in Paterson, New Jersey, lost vision in his left eye as an infant to congenital glaucoma, and turned that distinctive look into one of music's most recognizable faces. By 2015, he had done what almost no rapper manages, charting 5 concurrent Billboard Hot 100 singles, including Trap Queen, 679, and My Way. Trap Queen peaked at number 2, sold over 6 million copies in the US, and earned 2 Grammy nominations in 2016. His self-titled debut hit number 1 on the Billboard 200. For one moment, Paterson felt like the capital of hip-hop. The collapse began on October 28, 2021, when federal agents arrested him at Citi Field during Rolling Loud. Prosecutors charged him as a key player in a conspiracy that trafficked more than 100 kilograms of cocaine, heroin, fentanyl, and crack from the West Coast to New Jersey and Long Island between 2019 and 2020. In August 2022, he pleaded guilty to conspiracy to distribute controlled substances. And on May 24, 2023, Judge Joseph F. Bianco sentenced him to 6 years, plus 5 of supervised release. He is currently incarcerated at FCI Allenwood in Pennsylvania, with a projected release date of March 13, 2027. His daughter Lauren died in 2021, a private grief layered onto an already devastating stretch. He will walk out at 35, young enough to start again, if an industry with a short memory has room. The record he set in 2015 has been matched by almost nobody since. Talent was never his problem. Mystical. Michael Lawrence Tyler's story ends in a courtroom, with a jury saying not guilty on every single count. Born September 22, 1970 in New Orleans, he served in the U.S. Army during Operation Desert Storm before breaking into music through Master P's No Limit Records, then Jive. His explosive, percussive delivery made him unmistakable, and his 2000 album Let's Get Ready debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200 and went double platinum behind Shake Ya Ass. Then, in 2003, his career stopped cold. Tyler was convicted in Louisiana of sexual battery and extortion involving his former hairstylist, sentenced to 6 years in state prison, and required to register as a sex offender. He served the full term and was released in January 2010, attempting a comeback that never recaptured his momentum. In 2017, fresh charges emerged when he was indicted on first-degree rape allegations in a separate matter. He spent over 18 months incarcerated awaiting trial before posting a $3 million bond in February 2019, and the case dragged through years of delays. It finally concluded in April 2024, and a Caddo Parish jury found Tyler not guilty on all 8 charges, including first-degree rape, second-degree kidnapping, and false imprisonment. He wept openly in court and embraced his family. He is a free man today, though he remains a registered sex offender, stemming from the 2003 conviction, which is a matter of record. His name still appears on lists of incarcerated rappers, years after a jury cleared him on every count, its own quiet injustice, and a reminder that an acquittal almost never travels half as far as the accusation before it. The verdict was unanimous. The internet never got the memo. Bobby Shmurda. The Brooklyn kid whose dance move conquered the internet became the definitive case study in how fast a viral summer can end. Aquil Gene Pollard, born August 4, 1994 in Miami and raised in East Flatbush, released his breakout single in July 2014, and the Shmoney dance detonated, imitated by Beyoncé, Rihanna, and millions. The song peaked at #6 on the Hot 100, went platinum, and earned Pollard a reported $2 million deal with Epic Records. He was on late-night television and appeared headed for durable stardom. It ended on December 17, 2014, when Niptey arrested Pollard alongside 14 alleged members of a Brooklyn crew called GS9. Prosecutors charged him with conspiracy to commit murder, weapons possession, and reckless endangerment, alleging GS9 was behind shootings and drug trafficking across the borough. In September 2016, Pollard accepted a plea deal admitting conspiracy and weapons possession, and Judge Abraham Clott sentenced him to 7 years with credit for time served. He served the remainder at multiple New York facilities, including Clinton Correctional, and was released on February 23, 2021, after roughly 6 years and 2 months total. He is free, and has been for over 5 years. Since coming home, he signed with Roc Nation Management, released new music, and spoken candidly in interviews about what those years cost him. His story is the starkest illustration of how sweeping conspiracy prosecutions can end a career before it has truly begun. And also, crucially, of how a man can walk out at 26 with most of his life still in front of him. He lost the years that would have made him a superstar, he did not lose everything. That distinction is the whole story, and almost nobody tells it. C. Murder. Long before podcasts reopened cold cases, Corey Miller's trial had become the most contested conviction debate in Louisiana history. Born March 9, 1971 in New Orleans, Miller is the younger brother of Master P and older brother of Silk the Shocker, and found his own platinum success in 2000 with the album Trapped in Crime. It ended on January 12, 2002, when 16-year-old Steve Thomas was shot and killed during an altercation at the Platinum Club in Harvey, Louisiana. Charged with second-degree murder, Miller faced trials, mistrials, and appeals stretching nearly a decade before a Jefferson Parish jury convicted him on August 11, 2009. He received mandatory life without parole under Louisiana law. What keeps this case alive is what happened next. In 2018, two key witnesses, Kenneth Jordan and Darnell Jordan, publicly recanted their trial testimony, claiming detectives had coerced their statements. Despite sworn affidavits and renewed national attention, multiple appeals have failed to overturn the conviction. Monica and Snoop Dogg have campaigned publicly for his release, and the hashtag Free C Murder movement has drawn millions. Miller is incarcerated at Elaine Hunt Correctional Center in St. Gabriel, Louisiana, and has never stopped working. He recorded entire albums via prison phone, including Penitentiary Chances in 2013, and published a memoir and a children's book. A 2020 compassionate release motion was denied. He remains imprisoned for life, with 2 recantations sitting on the record, and every legal door closing behind him, one after another. Whether you believe the original jury or the witnesses who later took it back, the case poses a question the system has never answered comfortably. What is supposed to happen when the testimony that convicted a man is withdrawn, and the conviction simply stands anyway? Max B. Charlie Wingate's story has the ending nobody expected, and every video repeating that he's still locked up has it wrong. Born May 21, 1978, and raised in Harlem's Lincoln Projects, he became one of the most influential mixtape voices of the late 2000s, coining the term wavy, mentoring a young French Montana, and pioneering the melodic sing-rap style others later commercialized. Then tragedy. On September 21, 2006, a man was shot and killed inside a Fort Lee, New Jersey hotel during a robbery orchestrated by Wingate's then-girlfriend. Prosecutors alleged he masterminded it, despite not being present. In 2009, a Bergen County jury convicted him on 9 of 11 counts, including felony murder, and he was sentenced to 75 years, a punishment many considered wildly disproportionate. He kept recording from inside, releasing projects with French Montana entirely through phone calls. Then, in 2016, a state superior court judge vacated his conviction over a conflict of interest involving a former defense attorney. He pleaded guilty to a single count of aggravated manslaughter, and his sentence was reduced to 20 years with time served. On November 9, 2025, Max B. walked out of Northern State Prison in Newark after roughly 16 years, greeted by family and by French Montana, whose birthday it happened to be. And then came the part legends are made of. At 47, freshly home, he scored the first #1 single of his entire career with Ever Since You Left Me. The Wave God waited 16 years while a generation of rappers built careers on the sound he invented from a cell. He came home at 47 and won. If any story here argues a sentence is not the final word on a life, it is his. This case requires the most care on this list, because Jamel Maurice Demons has never been convicted of anything. Born May 1st, 1999 in Gifford, Florida, he rose on the 2018 single Murder on My Mind, a title that would haunt every courtroom appearance he made. And by 19, work with Kanye West and Juice WRLD had marked him as one of the genre's most promising young voices. That promise shattered on October 26th, 2018, when 2 of his closest friends, Anthony Y.N.W.'s Sack Chaser, Williams and Christopher Y.N.W. Juvie, Thomas Jr., were found shot to death inside a vehicle in Miramar, Florida. Prosecutors allege demons and co-defendant Cortland Y.N.W. Bortland. Henry killed the pair after a recording session and staged the scene as a drive-by. Demons was arrested February 13, 2019, and has remained in Broward County Jail ever since. His first trial in July 2023 ended in a mistrial when the jury deadlocked. Prosecutors still seek the death penalty, and the retrial has been delayed repeatedly, now set for January 2027. Cortland Henry took a plea deal in September 2025, receiving 10 years on accessory charges. In May 2025, Judge Martin Fine denied Demons bond again. His attorneys have condemned his conditions, including years in solitary. He has now spent more than 7 years behind bars awaiting a verdict, legally presumed innocent that entire time. His defense argues the delay has itself become the punishment. Prosecutors counter that 2 young men were murdered and their families deserve an answer. Both can be true. But whatever a jury decides in 2027, one fact is fixed. He entered that jail at 19 and will be at least 27 before anyone tells him whether he was guilty. Take a few stories collide viral fame and criminal consequence as violently as Tamor McIntyre's. Born June 16, 2000, and raised primarily in Texas, he achieved one of hip-hop's most disturbing paradoxes. His breakout hit, The Race, reached number 44 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 2017, while he was an actual fugitive, openly taunting the authorities hunting him. It began on July 26, 2016, when the 16-year-old and 4 accomplices forced their way into a home in Mansfield, Texas, killing 21-year-old Ethan Walker and wounding another resident. Placed on house arrest with an ankle monitor, he cut it off in March 2017 and ran. U.S. Marshals captured him in New Jersey that June. In July 2019, a Texas jury convicted him of murder and sentenced him to 55 years, plus concurrent time for aggravated robbery, and The Race itself was entered as evidence during the punishment phase, one of the most consequential uses of rap in a courtroom in modern history. Then came a second case. On April 15, 2025, a Bexar County jury found him guilty of murdering 23-year-old photographer Mark Anthony Saldivar, lured to a San Antonio parking lot in April 2017 under the pretense of a photo shoot. Judge Stephanie Boyd sentenced him to 80 years, running concurrent to his existing term. His ex-girlfriend, the getaway driver, testified against him under a plea agreement. He will not be parole eligible until roughly 2049, in his late 40s. His projected maximum release date is August 8, 2099. He was 16 when this began. 2 families lost sons. A third lost one too, to a sentence that will likely outlast him. There are no winners anywhere in this story. Lil Reese. The Chicago drill scene that exploded in the early 2010s produced a handful of artists synonymous with raw authenticity, and Tavares Taylor was one of its defining voices. Born January 6, 1993, he broke out alongside childhood friends Chief Keef and Lil Durk, signing with Def Jam in 2012 as part of Glory Boys Entertainment. His track Us reached the Billboard Hot Rap Songs chart, and his feature on Keef's I Don't Like became a defining moment for the drill sound that reshaped hip-hop from Brooklyn to London. But across his career, Taylor's headlines alternated between music and sheer survival. He has been shot multiple times, including a near-fatal incident on November 10, 2019, when he was struck in the neck during a confrontation in Chicago. In May 2021, he was shot in the eye during another altercation and permanently lost partial vision. Each time, he returned to recording, describing his survival as both blessing and burden. The legal moment that finally removed him from the streets came in late 2024, when he was arrested in Texas over an aggravated assault charge connected to a family member. On October 16, 2024, he pleaded guilty in Texas state court, and the judge sentenced him to 5 years in state prison. According to Texas Department of Criminal Justice records, he became eligible for parole consideration in August 2026. Eligibility, not a guarantee, with a projected maximum release date of February 6, 2029, if he serves the full term. Either way, the pause lands squarely on the years most artists consider creatively defining. He survived 2 shootings that should have killed him, only to lose those same years to a courtroom, which may be the cruelest arithmetic on this entire list. Casanova. The Brooklyn rapper whose career was climbing steadily watched it vanish the moment federal agents unsealed an indictment. Caswell Sr., born July 27, 1986 in East New York, signed with Roc Nation in 2017 after viral hits Don't Run and Set Trippin', working with Chris Brown and Fabulous, and performing at major festivals. Then, on December 1, 2020, federal prosecutors in the Southern District of New York indicted him, alongside 17 alleged members of the untouchable Gorilla Stone Nation, a violent set of the Bloods. The 22-count indictment included racketeering conspiracy, drug trafficking, attempted murder, and obstruction of justice. Casanova turned himself in to the FBI the following day. In January 2022, he pleaded guilty to 2 counts: racketeering conspiracy and narcotics conspiracy. Prosecutors documented his role in a July 2020 shooting outside a Miami restaurant, an armed robbery in Pennsylvania, and the distribution of more than 100 kilograms of marijuana through his network. On June 6, 2023, U.S. District Judge Philip M. Halpern sentenced him to 188 months, 15 years and 8 months, followed by 5 years of supervised release. At sentencing, Sr. expressed remorse, telling the court he had wanted to be a positive role model for young people. He is currently serving that sentence in a federal facility, with credit for time served since his December 2020 surrender, and a projected release around 2034. He was 34 when the door closed, 3 years into a deal that should have defined him. He will be nearing 50 when it opens, the entire prime of a career spent inside, for a life he had outgrown professionally but never actually left. His remorse read as genuine to many in the room. It did not shorten the number. Clifford Black Rhino, Etienne. Clifford Etienne's journey from a prison cell to a professional ring and back again may be the most heartbreaking trajectory in American sports. Born February 9, 1971, in New Iberia, Louisiana, he grew up in poverty and was sentenced to 10 years in Angola as a teenager for armed robbery. And there, inside one of America's harshest prisons, he found boxing. Released in 1998, he turned professional and built a 24-fight win streak with 16 knockouts, earning the nickname the Black Rhino for his charging style, fighting on the undercards of major pay-per-view events. His biggest moment came on February 22, 2003 in Memphis, against former undisputed heavyweight champion Mike Tyson. Tyson knocked him out in 49 seconds, a fight now remembered mostly for the tribal tattoo Tyson had freshly inked on his face for it. Etienne's life unraveled fast afterward. On January 14, 2005 in Baton Rouge, he committed a violent crime spree including carjacking, kidnapping a woman, robbing a convenience store, and shooting at police during a chase. No one died. He pleaded guilty in 2006 to multiple counts including attempted first-degree murder of a police officer, and Judge Richard Anderson initially sentenced him to 160 years. On appeal, it was reduced to 105. He is incarcerated at the Louisiana State Penitentiary at Angola, the same prison where he first learned to fight. He took up oil painting behind bars, and his canvases have been exhibited outside prison walls. Art from a man the world will likely never see again. Boxing pulled Clifford Etienne out of Angola once. Nothing will pull him out a second time. Barring extraordinary intervention, he will almost certainly die there. Dante Mitchell. This final story doesn't belong beside the others, and that's exactly why it's worth telling. Dante Mitchell isn't a rapper or an actor. He's an Albany, New York anti-violence activist, and his case became one of the most painful debates in modern clemency policy. Locked up at 17 for attempted robbery and weapons possession, he spent 24 years inside, and he changed. Earning a degree, founding a self-improvement fraternity called Ujamaa Fraternal Dynasty in 2008, mentoring at-risk youth from his cell. Reform advocates held him up as proof that change was possible, and in 2021, Governor Andrew Cuomo commuted his sentence. Mitchell came home and began speaking at schools and community centers. Then, on August 11, 2023, a shootout on Main Street in Cohoes left 27-year-old Shier Leggett dead, and Mitchell was arrested. Here the facts demand precision, because they're routinely misreported. At trial in December 2024, a jury acquitted Mitchell of murder, and a separate man, Nalik Seeley, pleaded guilty to second-degree manslaughter in Leggett's death. Mitchell was convicted only of criminal possession of a weapon, claiming self-defense while protecting a teenager he mentored. On March 3, 2025, Judge Andra Ackerman sentenced him to 15 years plus 5 of supervision. He is incarcerated, maintains his innocence, and is appealing. He also faces a separate, unresolved case, in which he has pleaded not guilty. His story fractured the reform movement that championed him, and it asks the hardest question here. Was the clemency a mistake, or is the honest answer that redemption never travels in a straight line, and that one painful case cannot settle a debate about thousands of others? Nobody comes out of this story certain of anything. 17 figures, 17 collisions with the American justice system. But notice what the headlines rarely tell you. 4 of these men are free right now. Big Meech finished his sentence. Mystical was cleared on every count and wept in open court. Bobby Shmurda has been home 5 years. And Max B walked out after 16 years and scored the first #1 of his career. Meanwhile, one man has waited over 7 years without a verdict. So tell us honestly, which sentence felt fair and which felt indefensible? Does the system treat black artists more harshly than their white counterparts? Or do crimes simply carry consequences? Comment below and subscribe to Secret Celebrity Stories, where the truth outlives the headline.